Hey, what's going on, everyone? Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. I wanted to come on here. Welcome to the Ryan Ripken Show. Hey, how you doing? There's no show tomorrow, at least on my end, and I know there's a lot of baseball conversations, and I owe it to you all to do a little rundown. And we were waiting on this one guy specifically to make a decision, and that decision was finally made today. Imai signs with the Houston Astros. That was not on your bingo card, not on my bingo card. Explain all of that, what it means for MLB moving forward here. And then we're just going to keep moving and grooving. That's really it. Not going to be long, not going to be crazy. Uh, but again, we hadn't talked a lot of ball recently, and um, now we got some reason to talk some ball. So again, new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. We are live usually Monday through Friday. We're going to change up some times here going into 2026 because when baseball season gets going, my schedule has to change, but our content as far as how much we're going to have going out throughout the year will not, but the timing will change. So stay tuned for that. Yes, that's what we're going with here. And a whole lot of activities, because it's still football season, but we'll get to that. You know what? Enough's enough. Let's dive right into this. Let me pull up the tweet. I saw it. You guys saw it. Where the heck is in technology? I haven't gotten more sound yet in 2026, but you know what? It's baby steps. John Heyman, Jeff Passan tweeted this out earlier that Imai signed the contract. That's not the right one to start. See, that will help explain the next part of what I want to talk about. Let's go to that tweet here. Hey now. Hey. Did I just not take a screenshot of it? Classic Ryan here to start 2026. But you guys know, you saw the tweet probably from Jeff Passan, or if you saw it from John Heyman, he's very credible. But everyone, when they see Jeff Passan's name pop up with the tweet, then you're like, oh, this thing's for real. It's actually a done deal. It's happening. And right now, I think, please be right. Whammy. So, right there, Jeff Passan brought up right there that Imai is going to the Houston Astros on an agreement, free agent contract. Whammy, it's done. Now everyone wants to know the goods. How much is it that he's getting paid to go to Houston? Well, here's the contract here that John Heyman then later tweeted out. It's $18 million a year. With then, if you read the other numbers where he's trying to talk about, it's $3 million for performance bonus, PB performance bonus, 80 innings pitched, 90 innings pitched, 100 innings pitched. Total can be $21 million a year possible. So at the minimum, it's $54 million guaranteed, $63 million possible if you hit every single incentive. Okay, so there's a lot to dive into this. There's a lot to go into what it means, and I can explain all that in a second here. But one thing I want to point out, because it's layered depending on what you want and what you think the value should be. Because first things first, when I see this, is the market was not big enough for a long-term deal. You know what I mentioned about Dylan Cease, and we've mentioned in the past, a 7-year deal. I would be shocked we see that from any other pitcher the rest of the offseason. So the top Japanese star coming over, where everyone was trying to make the comparisons that he's going to break the bank. This is a great contract. However, the years weren't there. And without the years, there's not more money. And so the other kicker in this is that each year, Imai is going to have an opt-out. So it's layered here. I'll go into it more and more, but I know I got Zach behind the scenes. I'll welcome Zach in here. Hi, Zach. You ready? Maybe? Yeah. Hello, Zach.
Howdy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, we knew something was going to happen when we didn't have something scheduled. Always happens that way.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to just kind of chill, relax, but I told people on the way in, I won't be available for the show tomorrow. Mm-hmm. We might not have one in general, but we haven't talked enough baseball. But one thing, Zach, that you and I have continued to have a conversation about is what would the market that Imai was then going to command. And clearly it wasn't as high as he was hoping. And then also he didn't want to settle for a lower price. I bet, Zach, a team might have said, we'll give you 5 years, but we'll give you that 15 to 18 mil. And and that didn't sit right, probably in my mind. So what happens? Houston offers an opt-out. And in that case, he can go and break the bank if he pitches well, but still getting $54 million guaranteed is a really good deal. But I don't think that's the deal that he was initially hoping for when he was posted here a few months ago.
No, I mean, everyone kind of, you hit on the head there. It felt like coming into this season or this off season, Imai was seen as this guy that maybe wasn't going to get the Yamamoto 12 years, 300 million. But it wasn't going to be surprising if he got 150 million, 200 million. And that was kind of where it felt like his market was projected. Then it felt like, okay, over the past weeks, it's like, okay, maybe that market isn't there. And I think this deal, I understand, is a little different because he's coming over from Japan and there was the whole signing window and all that. This humbles the market. I'm going to say humbles. Because before, when Dylan Cease got 7 years, every big time starter around was like, hey, I want 7 years. Like if Dylan Cease is getting 7 years, I want 7 years. We saw Michael King go get 3 years, 75 million. It works out to about 25 million per year. Then you now see Imai getting 21 million a year. Obviously the opt-outs after each. If he goes on, is finishing top 3 in the Cy Young this year, would not be surprised at all if he opts out, just because he knows he can get that big of a deal. But I think this has such a big impact, not only on obviously the AL West, because now the Astros, hey, you thought they were done. You thought that you got rid of them after missing the playoffs for 1 year. Nope, they're going to be there every single time. It really changes the outlook of the rest of the free agency for starting pitchers. I think now we see those deals where the Ranger Suarez's, the Valdez's, the Gallons, they were looking for those 6-7 year deals. And now it's like, okay, is a 5-year deal reasonable? Is a 4-year deal reasonable? So I think this humbles the market. But I will say I am pretty surprised that Imai didn't get. I thought he was going to get at least a Michael King deal, a 75 million. But
and here it was. Here is from John Heyman again. Moving forward, I this the second time I've done this. Oh no, I got it right here. Sorry. Yeah. Here's the wrinkle. So I mentioned all about the escalators for innings pitched, but right there, Imai had longer deals offered, but lower average annual value. So that's exactly what I was saying, is that if he's getting here 18 to 20 mil, okay, he was probably getting 15 to 18 max on the long-term scale. So he was probably looking at, Zach, if you're saying about Michael King, it sounds like to me like the best offer might have been 5 for 75. I think that that's very plausible that could have been the case here. And the reason why this happened is there clearly was a little bit of a worry of what his long-term ability would be at the big league level. I know people want to look at Yamamoto, who signed the $325 million deal, and the Dodgers broke the bank, but Yamamoto was younger, and there was more of an idea of what he could be, and the Dodgers were right. And there wasn't just the Dodgers in on him. A ton of teams were in on Yamamoto because of that. There clearly is a disconnect on what people believe Imai will be. He could, if he goes out and pitches like the star he was in Japan next year, Zach, it's an absolute steal for the Houston Astros for 1 year, because then he's right back into the open. But there's a series of outcomes here where he goes, let's think about this. He could either be star, all-star, top 10 Cy Young. He could then be a guy that's a sub-4 ERA guy, or he's an average guy with an ERA above 4, or maybe he's even, like here's the last one, he could be below average. The reason why, you don't know. It's a guy coming to the major leagues facing the best of the best all the time, so teams are going to be a little bit more skeptical in my mind, Zach, on what they want to do. And if I'm a team like Baltimore, New York, Boston, yes, you could have made a move, but do you already have high upside guys on your team? I would say yes. And also, none of those teams that I mentioned would have done this deal, would have said, hey, we're going to give you an opt-out every single year. That absolutely not. So the Astros were willing to do that. Therefore, he's going there. So I think the Orioles want the dependability part. And there's one name that's sitting there, Zach. I mean, we can if you have one more point, you can talk about it, or we can jump into that next thing.
I think we jump into the next thing. I think I think we're on the same page with. I just don't think the risk was worth it for some teams to give the deal where we all kind of thought maybe he's in that 150, over 5-6 years. I just don't think teams were comfortable with that. And like you said, if he pitches like we think he's capable of, he will be right back on the market next year, and he will get those long-term deals with the upwards of 150 to 200 million.
Yeah. I mean, and to close that part out.
Yeah.
Because I just got a text from one of my sources. But, some people just about, Imai no doubt could be absolutely electrifying. He could be an absolute stud. And teams can be dead wrong on players for not willing to give up the money. So, but this is exactly why Imai took the deal that he did, because he's betting on himself. And Houston, hey, look, the AL West finally had a change of guard last year. The Mariners finally, got over the hump there and won that division, and it was a game away from the World Series, right? But the Astros have a extremely talented pitching staff, even losing Framber. So this could be really good. It could be spectacular. But again, teams and GMs in baseball, what do they want, Zach? They want value. The value with the opt-outs didn't make a lot of sense. But what does make a lot of sense is the rest of the pitchers that are still on there. And I got to tell you, with Imai taking that lower deal, I would be shocked if we see a deal go past 5 years, which leads to there's a couple pitchers that have been waiting for this deal to be done. One of those guys is Ranger Suarez, and the other one's Framber Valdez. And Zach, apparently there's some people are saying, I haven't seen any confirmed reports on that the Orioles had a 5-year deal out for Ranger. I don't know if that's true. I hand up. Hey, come here. Oh, time.
You didn't even know how to do it that time.
I had my hand wasn't free.
Yeah.
And overall, I lost my train of thought again because of the Zoom threw me off. But honestly,
we'll see what happens. I mean, I agree. The reports are that obviously they have a 5-year deal out there for Suarez. I think before that was maybe Suarez's camp was, let's be honest, they were hoping that Imai was going to get like 5-6 years. Like, because if he gets that, and obviously he was offered, but for the right value money-wise per year, I think it, that's why I keep saying it humbles the market, because I think it does bring it back down to earth a little bit of like, hey, there are a select few guys that get these as pitchers with the risk that comes with all the injuries and all of that, especially guys over 30. Dylan Cease, he got that offer. Like, he got that deal. We will see how that plays out in Toronto. I'm not going to say like, oh, they gave him too much. We'll see what happens. They like what they got, and he obviously wanted to play there. But it just feels like now these guys currently on the market, Valdez, Gallen, Suarez, they'd be more okay with taking a 5-year deal because it matches more of what the market is. Because once the market now, the last two guys, big names to go off, Imai and King, 3-year deals. So,
hey, one thing I wanted to talk about before we get into that, two things. We may or may not be trapped in a closet somewhere. That's a possibility, Joe. Yes. The other part, though, Laura, when you're saying y'all kill me about it's hard to pay a guy who's never pitched in MLB, and you mentioned Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Sasaki. The difference between what they could value Ohtani and Yamamoto age-wise coming over were younger, one, and two, I think this proved the prospects that they were. Like, everyone wanted Ohtani and Yamamoto because they're like, we have zero doubts. Like, this dude's unbelievable. And Sasaki, I forget what was Sasaki's deal last year, Zach? Can you look that up real quick?
Well, he had to sign with international signing. He was not.
That's right. That's right. So, and a lot of teams wanted him because he was young. And so the part here, the MLB teams, they're scouting as well as any time before. Not that they get it right, but they're scouting as much as any time before. And they were so gung-ho on Ohtani and Yamamoto becoming stars in MLB. There was a hesitancy, and I don't think that people were expecting that hesitancy. And I hope that that Imai shoves. I hope he goes out there and proves that he deserves more money. But this is just the game that we're in, because when you're looking at a guy like Michael King that got $25 million a year, and you've seen what he's done when Michael King's healthy, Zach, it's like, would you rather take a Michael King at $25 million for 3 years, no opt-outs, he's guaranteed with your team, and you know what you have with him, or take 1 year of $21 million, because if Imai pitches well, he'll hit the incentives, 1 year of him, and then you probably lose him after that. And also, you don't know what that 1 year is going to be. So I think it's more so this market changed everything. And now Ranger Suarez and Framber Valdez, when they thought they would be getting an upwards of 20 mil, Zach, it looks like their market price is going to be between 25 and 30.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like it's going to be. Probably for Ranger, 5 years, 150 might get this thing done.
Yeah. And that's, that's where we're back to, where before it felt like you had to overpay, or these teams were destined to overpay because no one else was going to go out there and, or these pitchers weren't just going to accept a deal that they felt like was below their value. And as soon as Dylan Cease gets a deal of 7 years, $210 million, 7 years, $30 million per year, you're like, hey, my numbers are just as good as Dylan Cease. For some of these guys, better. If you're Valdez, you're like, hey, I'm the most consistent guy on this market. Suarez, you're like, hey, I'm the biggest playoff performer on this market. Those guys, they know their value. So they're looking at, okay, 7 years, 210. I'll sign up for that. Now it kind of brings it back down. Obviously, we talked about, with Michael King and everything, and then the opt-outs with Imai, different risks there for each of those, especially because it feels like if Imai is anywhere near where we think he will be, he's probably back on the market next year. Now he might re-sign with Houston still, but he'll be back out there. I wouldn't be surprised, though, Ryan, if this really also just speeds up the market. Like it felt like that was the big domino everyone was waiting to fall. I don't think it speeds up anything on the position player side. I think they're still, we talk about this past few days where it's like Bellinger's looking at Tucker and Tucker's looking at Bellinger like, are you going to sign? Like, hey, dude, where are you signing for? Like, are you signing? But this frees up the pitching market. This really frees up the pitching market.
Yeah, I think it does. And at the end of the day, here's a theory here, Zach. And the reason when everyone's looking at between Valdez or Suarez, the reason why I kept saying Suarez, if all things considered between the two pitchers, Framber is the guy that upside talent-wise, he's been the more consistent pitcher over time.
Yeah.
But that's not what you're taking all into account as an MLB team. But I do wonder now if the discount for Valdez, so if the deal for Valdez and Suarez is very similar, which do you choose? Now, if you're getting more years with a guy like Ranger compared to Valdez, you can, figure that part out. But, the market here is not going to go over 30 mil for a pitcher anymore. That the Blue Jays were aggressive because they believe in the upside of Dylan Cease. You just mentioned this market should get moving. 1,000% it should get moving. Why, Zach? It's January 1st. Welcome to 2026. Buddy, spring training's next month. Teams have to figure out their rotations now. And I do believe that this was one part, because I'm sure that a lot of these players or a lot of these agents, and Scott Boras being one of them, wanted to get this deal done and tell his other players, we're going to wait because teams are going to get more desperate. And teams, when they're desperate, might pay a little bit more money. And when you're looking around MLB, the Giants still have to spend. I think the Giants are going to make another move. Toronto is still aggressive, and it might not be a pitcher, but they're still aggressive in the hitters market. But you have to figure out your rotation going into February, or you're playing with fire. So, Zach, I would not be surprised from now until January 15th that we see a flurry of moves. And I mean, do you have the list of how many guys are still available? Because if I list off the top of my head, Valdez, Suarez, Gallen.
I was actually just pulling that up.
Yeah, pull it up. There's a ton on that list. And for those that are talking,
you go Valdez, Suarez, you got Gallen, you have I believe Giolito, Chris Bassett, Michael Lorenzen, Nick Martinez, Zach Littell, Eric Fetty. I mean, then you have the Scherzers, the Verlanders, who I think both will be back. I mean, Sagano, and then you go down guys like Jordan Montgomery.
So we have the secondary tier here. So this is why these top guys, so let's just say Valdez, Suarez, Gallen need to sign, right? Those are the three. Who else would you put in that category?
That's probably it. That's probably my three.
Those three need to sign, and depending on where they sign, other teams pivot. So when I'm looking at this, the Yankees priority, if I'm a New York Yankees fan here, not a Yankees fan, but if I'm the Yankees, your priority, you need to get Bellinger. It seems belly over Tucker. He needs to get back. So like their focus is going to be more on that side. If you're the Orioles and or the Red Sox, you could make some more increasing in the pitching side, mainly the Orioles. Red Sox need to figure out if they're going to get Bregman back.
Yeah.
But then the Giants are still trying to fill out their roster. In the American League, it's wide open. I'd say even more so than ever, Zach. It's Toronto went on this great run, and I think Toronto's going to be back again. But I'm not going to say that Toronto's the favorites. So I think that there could be some more teams in play. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the Detroit Tigers get busy, right? But for the Baltimore Orioles, I think they need more dependability over upside in this case. So of the three that I feel like you have the least to worry about, it's Ranger.
Yeah.
Upside is Gallen. And then that do you want to risk it is Valdez. Those are the three. I think that's pretty lined out. And I saw a comment in here, by the way, and I don't have something to throw. Well, I guess I do. But just throwing a flag, throw it again. Here. The Orioles don't have an ace. I'm going to tell everyone right now, if Kyle Bradish is healthy the entire year, he is going to be in the top 5 in the Cy Young. Like I am very confident in that. And if he's not, I'll still say he's top 10. Like I don't think people, Zach, realize how good Kyle Bradish is. And you know who I can go ask about that? We can ask friend of the show, friend of the program, Gavin Sheets, to come back on.
Yeah.
Bradish is so damn good, but I think people forgot how good he is.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
I'm also super intrigued to see what Lucas Giolito gets. I feel like he had a 3.41 ERA over 26 starts last year. I mean, towards the end, he was lights out. Spot Track projects him at $20 million a year, actually above Gallen. I don't see that, but that's going to be an intriguing one as well.
I think they're all intriguing. Now, another option here is everyone saying, hey, make another trade, which, you check out. There are guys that are available via trade, or they're available at the right price is what you found out. And one of those names that I've seen on there, and I'll explain a little bit more about him in a second, is Freddie Peralta. But, Zach, I see a ton of people on Facebook tuning in. Appreciate you guys. We have a ton on YouTube that are tuning in. Thank you. And on X. Ryan Ripken Show. We're live Monday through Fridays, typically, right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And if you are on each platform, hit that like button, subscribe, follow. For our channel members on YouTube, because I know we're trying to change up a lot, Zach, and I got to run some ideas by you next week and Bradley. But we really want to try to morph things to give you more content and more behind the scenes. And we're trying to make it fun. If you saw the interviews with Ravens players, Nick Moore and Jordan Stout the other day. It was great. Joey Molinaro. We're covering football, but we're doing 5 days a week to give you more content, and we will have a ton of baseball because stop traffic, Zach. Baseball is right around the corner, and that's still always been kind of the backbone of our content and entertainment. So that's that. Now, that's my PSA. Now back to Freddie Peralta. That's a name that everyone's saying, hey, right price.
Yeah.
You have to extend Freddie Peralta if you trade for Freddie Peralta. And we're looking at this market. That's how I like to do the barometer check. Freddie Peralta, Zach.
Yeah.
What do you think his market goes for? If he was a free agent right now, what would he be?
He's, in my mind, I would put him above Gallen and above Suarez. I don't know if I can put him above Valdez, but I think of the guys around, I think he is. I think Freddie Peralta is really freaking good. I mean,
so,
he is really good. He's
really good. But so if that's the case, that number is probably 25 to 30. And he's probably going to want a 5. He would try to push for a 7-year deal. Well, let's just say he gets 5. Okay. Yeah. That's all great. Mm-hmm. So say, hey, well, we would spend that anyway. You also have to trade to get him. How much are you truly willing to give up in this circumstance to trade for a guy and then pay a guy top value in the market? Because he would probably command one of the largest salaries this offseason. So that's number one. The other option then is Mackenzie Gore with the Nats, which they're kind of dangling him still, Zach. And he's got team control. So there it is right there.
Yeah.
But once again, I like the move. You're playing upside. You just traded for a Shane Baz upside guy.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but excuse me. What are you looking for as a team? You know, that's I think where I know in Baltimore, the Oriole fans, like, what do you want? Do you want upside and excitement with a lot of variability, or do you want a guy that you hand the ball to every 5 days and majority of the time he's going to win the game, or is he going to give you a chance to win?
Yeah. And that's, I mean, especially we talk about, you know, that's kind of where the Orioles are right now. They probably need more reliable guys than upside and potential, because obviously Bradish, you know, he can be an ace, has to stay healthy. I mean, it's still coming off Tommy John. You know, you're still building up back from that. Rogers, awesome story last year. He's got to do it again in another year. Zach Eflin coming off some injuries. Dean, good pitcher. Obviously, he has his every few games, gives up the big inning. But, you know, Baz, big upside, has come off injury, but also, you know, he's an upside guy. You're really looking for someone that can go in there and, you know, every 5 days is going to give you a chance to win. And I think that's what they're looking for. I think that's why a Suarez or a Valdez is so key to this team, because if they can just give some more stability so it doesn't have to be relying on Kyle Bradish to pitch 30 times a year, being that Cy Young caliber pitcher. It doesn't have to have Trevor Rogers need to pitch to a 1.8 ERA next year. Like, it just takes pressure off the rest of they don't have to be the guy.
Oh, yeah. I personally think, Zach, it's they sign one of the 3 top guys or they make a trade. In Baltimore's case, of those top frontline starters that are still available, I still can't figure out Boston. Again, I'm gonna go through with when looking at the AL East. The Orioles want to get another pitcher. I think they're making any more moves for bats is done. You know, maybe it's a small like depth move here and there, but they need to figure out still a little bit more the pitching side. The Yankees need to figure out their offensive side, and I'd say the Red Sox. They did make a trade for Contreras, but what happens with Alex Bregman? You know, but the difference between the Red Sox and the Yankees have the best pitching staff in the AL East, starting staff. It's not a competition. Cole healthy, Fried, Rodon, Heel, those guys are healthy. That's a really good staff. Toronto is intriguing. I think Toronto is going to get one more big name, Zach. I really do. So time will tell with all this. There's a lot of different moves that are. Is there any other specific move that's on your mind?
That to come? I mean,
or
like,
this storyline you're following?
I think the biggest one is going to be now with how this impacts the starting pitching. I still really think that the position players are going to be probably a few weeks away. I think they're really waiting for Bellinger and Tucker to both, sign. The others looking at the other. So we'll see what happens there. But overall, I think it's going to be really intriguing because it feels like I want to say Valdez, Suarez. I feel like one of them ends up in Baltimore, but besides that, I don't know where some of these guys end up. Like, does a Suarez, if he doesn't come to Baltimore, does he go? I don't think he goes back to Philly. Where does Valdez go? Does he go? Like, because I don't think the Red Sox, and thinking in division, I don't think the Red Sox are going to sign a Valdez or a Suarez or a Gallen. I don't think the Yankees are. Don't think the Blue Jays are because their rotation looks really good right now. I don't think the Ketel Marte situation could be interesting to follow. But besides that, there aren't really any big trade rumors. And I don't even know if he goes there. So I think the Ketel situation's another big one because it feels like every AL East team right now, maybe besides the Rays, and that depends if you think the Rays are in on Ketel Marte, are caught up on someone right now. The Orioles are kind of caught up on, okay, we're waiting for Valdez or Suarez, let's say Suarez to make his decision. The Yankees are waiting for Bellinger. The Red Sox are waiting for Bregman. The Blue Jays are waiting for Tucker. And it just feels like the AL East, there's still so much to be added to this division talent-wise that I don't think any of the teams are done.
And here's the other part why I bring up the AL East so much is because when you look at the rest of the American League as far as spenders, the biggest spenders so far have been in the American League East. You look at the Central, I'm not counting on the White Sox to spend a lot more dough, or Kansas City, or Cleveland, or Minnesota, right? So, like, you're looking at all that and going, all right, take them out of this equation for the big names. You go to the AL West. Okay, could Houston make another move? They could. Seattle, maybe. They signed Josh Naylor early on, which feels like it feels like a year ago, Zach, because technically it was last year. And then, yeah, you liked that one, didn't you?
I hated that.
Hey. So, and then the Angels, yeah, they're in that weird spot. And then there's the A's, right? Like, so the reason why I said the AL, the Blue Jays, the Yankees, and Red Sox historically have spent or are historically spending money. And now you factor in the Orioles. That's a lot of dough that's going around the table here. And then if you go to the National League, the teams in the National League, Phillies, Braves.
Yeah.
National League West, Dodgers, Giants.
Yeah, it feels like the National League West is really – like when you think of the National League, obviously the Phillies, they are in such a weird situation where I don't want to call it an in-between, but it almost feels like Phillies on their last leg. Do you get what I mean? Like with this core. Yeah. Meaning, obviously, I get you just signed Schwarber for 5 years, but it also, it's, how long are you going to have Bryce Harper performing at this level? Obviously, a little disappointing last year with all the injuries. Nick Castellanos, it looks like they want him gone. Trey Turner, obviously getting up there. We'll see if they bring back Realmuto. Suarez, we'll see if he's gone. But, like Wheeler's getting up there. It just feels like the Phillies, if I'm them, do they go and try to make one big splash again just because, like, if they can't get past the Dodgers this time, I don't, their guys aren't getting any younger. So I think they're in a very interesting situation where if you're talking about this core for them, they got to go for it in the next year.
You think you definitely think that that's what it's going to have to be. And again, even if they're not, the Phillies, whenever they decide that they got to get younger, they still have the resources to spend. That's just been their MO. That's been their motto. So time's going to tell with this, Zach. I think that kind of covers it. We got a lot of baseball chatter today, and we got a ton of people that are joining us here. And I gotta sneeze out 2025 because it's all smiles in 2026. Am I right, Zach? Am I right? Yeah, don't.
Laura, appreciate you. I'm just going to keep it going. Laura, appreciate you. I'm so sorry that's how this had to how we had to go into this.
Zach, come here. Laura, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And we appreciate all of our channel members. And man, Zach, it's we know a lot of people are excited about this Sunday night because being in Baltimore Ravens Steelers, we will still have a lot of football coverage. If you missed our recent interviews, had comedian Joey Molinaro on, Jordan Stout, Nick Moore of the Ravens, Mike Sando, and then baseball season, we're going to have a lot of baseball interviews and guests and conversations. So new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Be a channel member, helps us out tremendously, and we're really excited about what this 2026 is going to be. This stream wasn't going to happen here, but because of the news, we came on to talk to you. So appreciate you guys. And actually, Zach, yeah, I'm just very, very appreciative. A lot of people here.
Let them know. Let them know.
Put that on a shirt, you know?
I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I kind of thought you ended the stream there, and I was like, and then.
All right, I'm going to end the stream right here. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Have a day, have a night. Welcome to 2026. And we'll see you next time here for a brand new edition of the Ryan Ripken Show.